Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, good to be back with you again. It's taken a little bit longer than I thought it would, but we're finally done here with the extensive transfer season. This time only about 5 months in game, but for whatever reason, it took a little bit longer than I was initially planning. Let's go take a look and see where things are at, right? So when we last met, we had just barely survived here in the Taiwan Premier League, and we barely avoided being relegated. Now let's go take a look at what's going on here. So we've passed the transfer deadline here. We got a little bit under a week before the next season, which will be tomorrow's first video. We were the biggest spenders. We spent 41,000 euros on players. We brought in 58 players, and Chinese Petroleum ended up getting rid of 13. I've been pretty impressed here with the way that we were able to get the scouting network working. I mean, we put so much time and effort into scouting that we've scouted, I think, every single player in Taiwan, including all domestic players and all foreign players. And I've marked every single person as being either inconsistent or disliking big matches or whatever. So I've got everything set up sort of the way that I want. Our squad looks a lot different now than it did before. We'll go over here to the transfer history, just give you an idea. One of the biggest pieces of news actually does not show up here. We got rid of our striker in the end, and it was because he was pretty upset. He was upset with me for not having any good wingbacks on the left-hand side, which we knew we wouldn't. There are no wingbacks here in Taiwan at all. So Mark Fenelus, after an excellent performance for us, is now once again a free agent. It's pretty good because we won't have to worry about his dislike of big matches. Our scouts say that we shouldn't even consider signing him. This is a player who's one of the best players in the league last year. I mean, he had 7 goals and 6 appearances for us, but as you can see here, he's 33 years old, about to be 34 in August, and it's probably not really going to be worth it. Not only was he upset, but a player who I had signed from South Korea, Nam Gi-won, was also really upset about the same thing. He also, it turns out, dislikes big matches, and so we went ahead and just sort of got rid of him. We just released him, and that was the end of that. In fact, every single player who has that little yellow flag on our team was released. The other big news is that Katata ended up going abroad back to Japan on loan, and the reason why is because we got a better goaltender. We only have a spot for 5 foreigners on the squad, and that will include our better goaltender, who's this guy, Thapelo Lichaba, who is from, let's see, where is he from? Lesotho is where he is from. This guy is a Lesothan international. He's a star player, very, very clearly a star player, probably the best goaltender in the out of everybody playing in Taiwan. He's only 20 years old, and he looks awesome. So this is going to be one of our new stars. We have quite a few changes made. I was wrong, right? We have one guy who's got a flag left. That's Li Mao, who kind of doesn't like big matches. He has remained on this squad despite being 33 years old. He's probably actually not going to play that frequently because we got a couple of guys who are better than him. I'm looking, for example, at Amando Ndai, who, where does he come from? He is from Senegal, and he's definitely going to be a better player as a attacking midfielder. I don't believe, no, he can't play defensive midfield, so we're going to play him probably up front, I believe. Yeah, because he can't play in that attacking midfielder role, so we will play him up front. The other guy who will play also up front is Cyrili Silla, who comes from Ivory Coast. Who is another absolute star player and who looks like he's going to be like totally awesome. So we've made a lot of interesting moves. If you're wondering about who we're going to have as our striker, it's probably going to be this guy, Chen Haowei, who is about to retire. I don't know. The thing says he's surplus to requirements, so we might not end up starting him up front. The other player, let's see if I can find him. We have another guy who's about 33 who also has the ability. Oh, yeah, this guy, Wen Chihao. Or Wen Zhihao, I'm not quite sure which one it's supposed to be. He looks like he's a little bit better. They're calling him a fringe player. I mean, he had 7 goals and 21 appearances for Taiwan Power, but you have to remember that our tactic is set up so that guys like this, poacher-type strikers, could technically just sort of hang out up front and wait for the ball. So, I mean, maybe we'll start him. The one I'm really excited about, though, is this guy, Oh Chirwei, who is a 18-year-old striker who is showing up as an exciting prospect. A little bit of a mercenary and also is not quite up to snuff here, but he's probably going to be one of the best strikers as the years go by. We just looked at this guy. So that's where you have it. As you can see, we haven't really gotten anybody who can play wingback, I guess, aside from this role here. I mean, Menagong, of course, is going to remain playing the wingback there on the right side. I know he doesn't like it, but he remains a very, very good player. On the left side is probably still going to be Chen Shiming, who I know probably also doesn't really like it, but we'll see what we can do. I don't know. We might play around. We might put a couple of different guys out there and sort of test them out. Li Wenqing is another one who I think, let's take a quick look here. Yeah, we do have him learning the wingback role. I mean, maybe, I don't know. As is usually the case with these teams, the older players tend to go straight to being surplus to requirements. We'll see if that's actually the case or not. We really could use a whole lot of support on those sides. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. We could do Chen Shishun as well. It's probably going to be sort of a revolving door there on the left side because we've got a bunch of players who don't have the required ability potential. And so as a result, I mean, we kind of take whatever it is that we can get. And so there you go. We've had, for the most part, a pretty successful time here this time around, and I think that we have a squad setup that is going to be very competitive. In fact, I'm not the only one who thinks that. We go over here to the competitions and we go take a look at the season preview. You can see we are picked to win the league, and we have 1 to 10 odds on winning the league, which means that they think that we're going to dominate. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the Media Dream 11 are on our squad, and we did take a look at these other guys, and you can see with a little flag that there were things I saw that I didn't like. It's usually a dislike of big matches, and that's the thing that really gets to me because we play a lot of big matches. Now, I know that doesn't show up until your guy is like 22 years old. You have to keep that in mind, right? You're not going to know that right away, but as soon as you see that come up, you got to watch out. And if you get a guy like this who likes big matches, this is the sort of guy you want to try to sign if at all possible. Faisal Hassan, unfortunately, right now doesn't really want to go to us. He's still with what was it, Futuro. Let's take a look and see if I can remember which team it is he's with. Yeah, Taichung Futuro. So, I mean, as long as Taichung is good, he's going to want to stay there. But if we can beat them this time around, and if we can get to the Asian Cup, maybe he's going to want to sort of change his mind a little bit. Now, I don't want to look ahead too far, but I am curious to see what does happen, if it will tell me here what happens to the first place squad. Of course, it doesn't tell me here at all. In theory, you should be able to get to the Asian Cup if the game's going to let me actually type anything out. Here we go. And that could mean a pretty big potential. This isn't the one that we want. That could mean a potential payday here for us. Well, maybe I'm looking up the wrong thing. Let's see. If we look up Taichung, they should be in this competition wherever it is. If we were to win the league and if we were to get to one of these more fancy competitions, and I'm not even seeing that they're in it, but if we were able to do that, here we go, the AFC Cup. And see, they've already been knocked out. If we were able to get into this, we could theoretically add a whole lot of money to our squad and eventually make it so that we could attract a whole bunch of players from abroad. Now, again, as I said in American Samoa, this isn't sort of like a build a country, build a team type saves. It's supposed to be a Hexagon challenge, and we're not going to get to the AFC Champions League. But I do think that we could win. We could go out and beat teams like Guam, and we could figure out a way to get into the AFC Cup and to start getting a big payday, right? So East Asia Zone Playoff, I'm just looking here to see if it tells you anything about the money that comes from this. It doesn't tell you very much, unfortunately. We probably have to get there and then sort of see what happens in the end. Here you go. Yeah, winner prize money, if we were able to get to East Asia Zone Final, would be 353,000 euros, and that would theoretically get us into this sort of interzone where you get 40,000 for every match. And you can then get up to the playoff finals and then eventually to the final itself, which is where the real big money comes into play. Put into perspective, we've done a whole bunch of improvements here to the squad, but our overall balance is right around 300,000 euros, which is actually pretty good. I know it says our status is okay. I would say that we're a little bit better than okay. We actually have some more money to play around with. But if we were able to win and we were able to get deep into a competition like that, this would change things completely. We'd end up being a professional squad. We could really leave a very, very strong mark on this and probably impress a whole lot of teams to go back to Oceania and try to have a little bit better time there. So that's what the plan is. We're going to have some fun here with Mars FC first, and then we will see what happens when we get to the future. And I will talk with you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.